was just a good time.
I remember one time I had you like try on a pair of like funny sunglasses, and then I was like, "Oh, pretend like you're playing the saxophone." And you're like, "All right, here we go. Welcome back to Get On This Shit Podcast, episode 10. Very special episode because we're back. Okay, they tried to bring us down. They tried to shut us out. They tried to demonetize me, but I'm here. I will never go away. I will never stop drinking beverages. And I'm not making this up just because I'm lazy and don't do things on time. Very happy to be here. And I just want to thank you if you're still on board with the GOTS train and you're still listening to my rambles. And I'm really happy to be here. And I know it sounds like I just like landed from a spaceship. And I'm just happy to be on ground. But a lot of times, sometimes you feel like that, you know? COVID is a crazy time. There's a lot of weird shit going on. You don't know how to interact with people now because you can only see half their face. But I'm surviving. I'm struggling. I'm striving to thrive and survive and something else that rhymes with life. Anyways, this rambling has been going on a bit because I'm all jittery trying to get it out. A little bit of rust, a little bit of COVID podcast rust. But I've been flexing my muscles on Rotten Reviews, my other podcast. Shameless plug, I don't care. It's a great podcast. It's only getting better every week. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Now that that's taken care of, time to bring in my very special guest. We are broadcasting from his domain. He's been gracious enough to share his cave with us. I go back with him a while. We're going to get into all that, but I don't want to delay anything else. So before I bring him out, let me say a few more things about it. What else is there? He wears cool hats. He goes by, I think his nickname used to be Mully Bear back in the day, back in the Hotmail days. And yeah, he was my party boy for a bit, so here, bring him out, Shane! Woo! Alright, I need to get my soundboard in so we can have some, yeah.
What's up, dude?
Hey, man.
Thanks for having me on this podcast.
Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
It's my first time on a podcast. I'm not gonna lie, for you guys, a little nervous. It's gonna be in front of the camera.
You can look in there. You can look in there.
A little nervous, you know. The funny thing about a podcast is like, you know, it's all about like kind of having like a conversation and just kind of making it seem natural. And it's just, well, I think the biggest thing for me is like, I just love to compare. So I'm like, this podcast, like they're always just talking for like 3.5 hours. How do they do it? Am I going to be able to do it like that? And I just try to tell myself like, look, we're just here having a good time. And I hope you guys enjoy. I'm very grateful that Luke asked me to do this. And I'm very happy I'm able to host it here.
Yeah, well, it's great that you're here, and you're following Jamie in terms of guests, so don't worry too much about that. Don't worry, Jamie and Shane are better friends than me and Jamie, so we're joking around here. But that guy's a wild man, and but we had some good times together, you, me, and him.
Oh yeah, dude.
Back in when we were mid-20s, man. That's
yeah,
we were like,
2015 and 2016 were like quite the time, almost a blur.
Yeah,
almost
a lot of it was blurry. There were definitely some fuzzy memories. But you gotta live when you're in your 20s, right? You gotta like go hard.
Yeah. Still in my 20s. Early 20s.
You're hanging on to that windowsill of 20s.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a weird realization, man. Like I'm gonna be 28 at the end of this month, and it's like, oh my god, I'm going to be almost 30. Am I going to have my life together? Am I going to have children? But I'm not.
You should have kids by 30, so let's try to get on that, man.
Yeah. It's funny, I actually wanted to talk about how our friendship developed. So for those, obviously you guys don't know, but Luke and I used to work together at a sports store.
Sporting goods?
Yeah. And I remember, like, in the beginning, like, I'm not really a sporty type of guy. Like, I skateboard and I snowboard, and, like, I just wanted to work there because, like, oh, they have a snowboarding department. Like, I could definitely excel there, but I realized as I started working there, like, oh, okay, like, it's kind of like you have to know a bit of everything, and I did not... Yeah, exactly. And I didn't, like, really connect with many people there, and then I met you, and I'm like, oh, this guy seems cool. But I remember in the beginning you were like,
yeah,
I don't care for this guy.
This is not my type of guy. I'll allow him to be here, but this is not my type of guy. He's just like way too skaterish and way too like I don't know. You just gave off a vibe where like I just like thought you were trying so hard to like kind of like be cool with me, and I was like,
I was like, I have a chance.
to be Luke's friend.
Yeah.
That like very unique place in society. Luke's friend. It's like, dude, one of only 4.
Yeah. Dude, I remember once like, well, we started talking about MMA, and it was like, oh, cool, we had that in common. And I remember once like our shift was ending, and like everyone was kind of like huddled around like the clothing department, and I just went up behind you and like did like a rear and you're like, dude, get off. And I just let go, and I was like, oh, and you're like, dude, and I was like, oh, sorry,
not cool. You crossed the line.
And it's like something you'd see in a movie where someone just like, all right, I'm just gonna go for it, and it's probably gonna work. And then it just did it. It just became super awkward. Everyone was looking, like all the good-looking girls were looking. All the dudes who thought I was weird saw that. It just like fueled the fire for me. Like
in all fairness, that working at that place was like high school, like accelerated, and with everyone a bit older.
Dude.
So like everyone was fronting so hard, and I think that's just kind of a retail thing, where you're always trying to like act cooler than you are.
Yeah, and I think I think there's nothing wrong with kind of like putting on that front if you guys all have similar things in common.
Yeah.
But I think just because I didn't, it was like there's nothing to bounce off. And I don't know, it was weird. Like I got along with you, and I got along with this girl Alexa at the cash, and that was like literally the only 2 people. And like I remember like I would tell this to people after I quit. I was like, if you're not on the Concordia rugby team, you basically won't get along with anyone.
Sour grapes at retail, yeah. No, it was very much a cool kids club over there, for sure.
I was pretty salty.
So yeah, we didn't really get along there, and then years,
a couple years, dude.
Yeah,
like
go by, and then I don't see you for a bit, and then we randomly run into each other at like a bus terminal.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, hey, I really miss actually talking to this dude. It's pretty chill.
Yeah.
And then I eventually quit that place, and then I'm looking for a new job. I applied to Tim Hortons. Who's working at the Tim Hortons? This guy over here, an advisor!
As I'm drinking coffee.
And the manager was like interviewing me at one of the chairs, and Shane just comes up and she's like, hey, is this guy good? And I was just like, no. I need this job. Oh man, I can't believe I was so desperate at one point. I really needed a job. That didn't work.
I remember you were just like sitting like this, and I just like come out, I'm like whatever rushing, and I just stop in my tracks, and like, and then like I'm like, hey dude, and you were like fucking
sweeping some shit up. And you're like, oh.
And everyone was like, hey Luke, and you were like, hey, and Linda was like, oh Shane, you know this guy. Anyways, yeah, our boss like had this very high pitched voice. It was like. I mean, it was whatever.
There were a lot of characters at that Tim Hortons.
Do you remember Judy?
Yes. I love Judy, man. Yeah. She was a bit of a coarse personality because she was an older lady and she didn't really take much shit from the young kids that were coming in to Tim's working. But she liked me.
Crack.
Yep, she liked me. She had a soft spot for me. I still run into her from time to time.
No way?
Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just like, well, I used to take the bus a lot more, so I would like run into her on the bus.
Okay. Oh yeah, because she lives buses.
But there was that other manager we had,
Derek! Derek!
Derek! Gotta love Derek, man, okay? Like, the chillest manager ever. But he did have a way of talking with his accent that was very, first of all, a very unique accent, but also he really didn't like to delegate jobs. It was very uncomfortable for him, so he would always give tasks as if he like forgot about it and was just thought of it. So like, it's like, oh Shane, can you go take up the garbage?
He'd be like, and he'd always be like, oh, can you, like, oh, as if I forgot this whole thing, like, oh, I'm just so busy that no. And I loved Eric. He was actually like kind of casual, not casual, I can't think of the right word, but I'm gonna sound like a millennial guy right now, but like just low key, very low key, kind of like, let's just get out of the way and realize that I've succumbed to some of the.
Hey man, your lingo is lit. I like it.
Exactly. I don't think they say that. I don't think they say that. They just use the fire emoji.
I think cuz is the thing. Like, they call each other cuz.
Cap. Cap means lie.
There was one girl I was teaching driving to. Man, I'm sorry, but she would call me sis. Yeah.
Is that like literally like a sister?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
She called like guys and girls sis.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah. I think maybe she meant CIS.
Cis?
Cis male, but
honestly, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. I think I think CIS male is a man who identifies as straight and gay.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think she would just meant cis.
Okay. Yeah, because if you're saying it to like everyone, it's funny. Like I start to feel old, like where I'm like, oh, I don't know what you mean, and these lingos are so like. They don't mean anything, or it's like, it sounds too complicated, but like, dude, I remember when we were growing up, it was like, reach here, live now, or like,
sauce me that.
Yeah, sauce me that, reach live, Guy Janos.
Yes.
It's funny, because like, it originates, I think, I could be wrong, and I'm really sorry if I'm butchering this, but I think it like originates from like Jamaican culture, saying like Janos, or Guy.
I never really heard the Janos thing.
Janos means like I promise, or I swear, like I swear.
Oh, like, they say dead ass.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And when I say, I'm not gonna lie, like I don't like
this is the Boomer podcast.
Yeah, it's because of the podcast. We're just here to shit on all you young viewers
and try to figure you out
at the same time.
Yeah.
No, but
I secretly want to be part of that.
I still need validation. But I think like for me, it's like we're at this age. Like I'm 27, you're 29, and it's like we're like. You know, it's at the age when there's always new lingos coming in. I'm like, oh, like I get some of them, I get some of them I don't get.
There's always a straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of the lingo, where you're just like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
But I stop at hella or fam.
Yeah. Actually, the only one I say, like a lot of my friends would say, is like when we get food and like if someone likes something, they just be like, oh fuck. What do they say? They say
this slaps.
No, this slap, that's a good one, but it was like, oh, fuck me up, man. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I actually like
that one, too.
That one rolls off the tongue nicely.
Alright, so we talked about lingo. Good to check that off.
Back to Derek.
Yes.
One story where his eye was, like, super red, and, so he didn't even notice, he just comes in. I'm like, Derek. He's like, oh, I see. And I'm like, okay. He'd come in. I'd be like, Derek. And he'd be like, look at me, and I'm like, Derek, dude, your eye's like super red. He's like, oh, yeah? And he like goes to the bathroom. He comes back out, and he's like, it's really red, eh? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's like super red. He's like, oh, that's not normal.
And so became our lingo for many years. Whenever something was like a little bit off, we'd be like, well, that's not normal.
We're just gonna like,
dash, not normal.
Yeah, dash, not normal. And then we like find like the best way to type it out if we're texting each other to like really how you like envision how it sounds through text.
Enunciate it. A lot of people do that now on the internet too. They try to write things out the way they sound.
Okay. I feel like that's a jokey thing. But it's like top comments you'll see, sometimes they do that and you're like, oh fuck, I've never even heard you say it and I can be exactly.
Yeah, it sounds exactly that way. Yeah, exactly. But so definitely some characters there.
For those of you who don't know, Tim Hortons is like a coffee. It's kind of like a Starbucks, but a much higher, lower grade of Starbucks with like donuts. It's like a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, we've mentioned Tim Hortons on the podcast before.
Okay.
I tend to talk about always the same things. So Tim Hortons, seltzer, or my fondness for seltzer.
I don't even know what seltzer is. I'm back Canadian.
It's like club soda. It's not a Canadian thing. It's just like carbonated.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes in many forms. Okay. I talk about remixes, how much I love them. Different songs being remixed.
Dude, the first time I heard that song, Sierra, It's like one of those mountain I'll link in the description.
The refs in my app. That's what we call it. References in my episode.
Okay. That's like the lingo.
Yeah.
Or like the short-term usage.
Exactly.
So you say that in the video?
Like in the description, I'll put like the refs in this app are.
Okay.
Whether it's like a TV show or
Noted.
music or something.
If I start my own.
Exactly. Well, take some notes, son. Maybe you'll have one of your own shiny podcasts.
Thank you.
Come over the guy who hasn't done one in like a month. We also another thing happened. You were dating a girl at the time.
Yeah.
It was also.
Yeah. Well, actually, so the funny thing is, like, we started working together, and for some reason, it was just like, I think the environment too is just like a lot better. We just kind of clicked more, and I think that's when I because I felt more comfortable working there, I was a little bit more myself. And I remember whenever I would impersonate people, you would just like die. Dude, you can't really see people, but we'd be like rushing back and forth. And I remember this so well. I said something casually, and you were just so put off guard, and you were just like, and like kneel to the ground.
Yeah, and you were a little bit scared, and I think the rest of the crew was too. I don't laugh often. I really don't.
Yeah.
But some people, like this guy over here, some people just like say things to you, and they're just so like they get you with your like sense of humor, and it just like it kills me because like with a lot of other people, it's like the laughs you get are like hey.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that, you know?
A chuckle. They call it a yellow laugh. Is that I heard that in elementary school. It's called like a yellow laugh, or I think it's called a yellow laugh, where it's just like
just kind of fill the air. Yeah, exactly. But so many times you made me like explode with laughter. So that was like probably the best like working experience there.
Dude, like you and Sean were like another guy I worked with were like the highlight of working. I was like, when these two guys are working, it was just a good time.
I remember one time I had you like try on a pair of like funny sunglasses, and then I was like, oh, pretend like you're playing the saxophone. And you're like. You just like right away went along with it. Yeah, and it was so good.
I think it kind of goes back to like sport acts when like I kind of tried to do that, but I wasn't like just wasn't doing it well. I suppose because I was like trying way too hard. But I think because I was more comfortable at work, and then when you would laugh, I'd be like, yes, I'm validated. And at the time, so I was dating this girl, and like I didn't really like I tend to like I mean I've been single for like over 2 years now, but like before that like. Whenever I date someone, I just put all my eggs into one basket. I would like stop talking to all my friends.
But you do that with a lot of things. Like you get into something and then you're like 100% into it, 1,000%.
Addictive personality.
Just the same percentage.
But yeah, so like I didn't really didn't really talk to any other guy friends. And then like I remember just like that kind of connection we had. I was like, oh, this is sick. Yeah. And I remember like we were working in the drive, and I kept saying like every time like there'd be like a good looking girl, I'd be like, oh my god, look, dude, she's so hot. And I'd be like, oh yeah, whatever. Like yeah, she is. And then like
like a 6. 6.5.
And then like we're just like whatever rushing, and there was just like a moment of silence, and you're like, dude, I don't think you're really happy with your ex. Yeah. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And I like
it was like the glass shattering moment. Right?
Yeah. And it's like I thought about it in my head for so long, but you said it, and like I just couldn't deny it anymore. I'm like, I'm not happy.
You were like being the perfect boyfriend.
Yeah.
You were like 100% committed, very supportive, all that good stuff. And I came in and I just like, you're doing too well. You're doing too well.
You have to get to my level.
No, but I could tell that it was all kind of a facade. So I was like,
Well, that's kind of like how I thought. Like, I guess I was young. I was like, at the time I was 21, or I just turned 21, and I was like, oh, like her parents like me. I work for her parents. Like it's there's this image of him being with someone for so long at a young age. Like, oh, this is my life now. Like I just accepted it, and I didn't really accept it though. I like pretend I did, and then like slowly I would like resent her, even though it's like not her fault. But I would like resent her, resent myself. I would be easily agitated. Then I'm like secretly like, oh my god, look at all these hot girls. No. And then if anything, it's like it's a service that you did by saying like, hey man. Like, there's nothing. This isn't good.
Yeah, it's not gonna go anywhere further. And with me being happy, because now I realized that I'm not happy, and I just kind of wanted to. We all get into that moment where we feel like we need to be in a relationship. I feel like a lot of people do at least.
Yeah, and it's like, at least, I mean, I think I look back in hindsight now, it's like, I felt like I just needed to be in a relationship, not that I wanted to. And like, if you start your foundation with like, I need to be in a relationship, then like, you're gonna kind of portray like codependent behavior, maybe become, in my experience only, so I don't know about everyone, but in my experience, become needy, jealous, paranoid.
Yeah, and I've seen in some couples like they bickering over the most tiny, insignificant things ever. But yeah, it's tough these days to like even attempt relationships. I think it's just so easy nowadays to like be dishonest.
Yeah.
And deceitful. And also non-confrontational. That's a big thing.
Yeah, dude. I think that's something that like we have in common too. It's like oh, I'm not going to talk about this. Like your feelings matter more than me, and I'll just put mine aside. It's totally fine. People pleasing is like I'm so good at it, but ultimately I always end up like expecting you to read my mind. Like if I'm putting my feelings aside for you, you need to do the same for me. And then if you don't, I'm going to blow up on you, and then you're going to wonder why, and then I'm just going to become like passive aggressive, and and it's just this vicious cycle.
Yeah, and not to keep quoting things, but that's also from Judd Apatow's movie. The husband and wife are fighting.
Movie? Knocked Up?
I think maybe it was This Is 40 or something. But it was like she was like, just because you're not yelling doesn't mean you're right. So it's like, just because you're opting out doesn't mean you automatically win because you're like being a bigger person.
Yeah. But if anything, it's even like sneakier because it just takes longer to boil.
Exactly. You're just putting more dynamite in there for later.
Yeah, man. It's actually, I feel like that's more the realistic thing that happened, like real scenarios that happen in relationships.
Why things break down and stuff.
Yeah, where it's just like slowly we're like, oh, well, it's like, it's almost like low-key bickering, where it's like, oh, we shouldn't be yelling because if we're yelling, it means that we're not doing well. But like, that doesn't take away from the feelings that you both have inside, right? At least based on my experience, because there's times where I'm like, I am this, or I am fine, I'm doing things in my life and it's fine. Yeah. And then like, it just comes out one way or another. It's usually not pretty. But anyways, all to say is like...
he's a keg of dynamite waiting to explode, and he's single, ladies.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but yeah, it's just difficult for everyone.
Yeah, that's why I don't.
Yeah, but you went on while you were still dating that girl. You went on that trip to Thailand.
Yeah, we went to Thailand together. Actually, we went to Thailand before. Oh no, we met again in April. I think it was April, and then I left in. We started working, and then I left like 2 months later, and then I got back, and it was like that whole trip. Like before that, we both lived with our parents, so it's like we never knew what it was like to live with each other. And man, that trip really was a testament to our relationship. And a lot of people say that when they go on long trips, it's like
you find out a lot more about the person.
Yep. And
you can find space.
We fought like we never fought before, dude. And like, I remember like, she was saying like, "Do you even love me anymore?" And I was like, I wanted to say like, no. But I just like couldn't find it in me to be like, no. I was like, yes, I do. And it was like,
really, that's the hardest thing to say. Like, that's why breakups are so fucking hard.
Yeah, dude. It sucks. They suck.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you did have some good experiences on that trip, though.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh no, her and I like honestly like I make her out to seem like she's like some like horrible person, but she's really like she really wasn't like
she was a nice person.
Yeah, she's really really good. Like she showed me a lot of. She actually like if anything like there would be because like I said before, when I put all my eggs in one basket, like I would stop doing the things that I love. Like I like skateboarding, I stopped doing that. Whatever else, and she always wanted to encourage me to do those things, and then I just like oh no. And she's like doing like what she loves to do, like she's school, she's into music, blah blah blah, and I'm just here like on the sidelines, like, why are you happy? Why are you doing all the things you want to do? Why aren't you with me?
Yes.
And
and that's a huge thing, man. Like jealousy that can foster sometimes, and I think that's something that I'm learning too. You know, like sometimes it's like you always want to be happy for other people around you when they get success, but sometimes it makes you look at your own garden sometimes too much and be like, shit, the fuck, I got a few tulips here, that's it.
Well, I find like sometimes when other people like who are close to you are succeeding, if you're not in a good place in your life at that time, it's kind of just like looking at yourself in the mirror when you're not ready to look at yourself in the mirror. It kind of forces you.
Exactly.
And then you'll just project. You'll just throw it back or smash the mirror.
Yeah, there's two. You're right. There's two ways you can go forward. You can smash the mirror,
or you can try to improve the appearance.
Or you just use Windex.
Exactly. Start wiping your own face.
You're like, wow, I'm really happy with this window. Like getting all literal, like, no, it's really just
gotta clean the COVID.
But
I heard on the radio today, not to go up too off topic, guys.
not to go too off topic.
But people have been trying sort of different remedies to get rid of COVID, and they've been very deadly sometimes.
Like with the only one I know
Drinking
about.
camel urine with lime in it.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Lime juice and camel urine.
Dude. What?
Yeah, and then animal like.
I feel like that would taste good.
I know. It's like Gatorade lemon lime. Refreshing. It's got a tang to it.
So confused. Wait,
healthy.
camel urine with lime.
Yeah, lime juice.
Lime juice.
Or lemon juice. I don't know.
And
I gotta get the.
Why did they come up with? Do you know why they came up with this completely?
I think that was just a certain part of the world because they listed off a bunch of other ones.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Dude, that's gnarly.
yeah, I think it's just a time of desperation, so people are just trying things.
Mm-hmm. I think the only thing other outrageous thing I heard, I don't really like. I should probably watch the news, but I don't really keep track of like what's going on in the world. But I heard from someone, so I don't know if it's true. Maybe someone can comment on this video to correct me. But in South Africa, I believe that they banned tobacco and alcohol in the beginning of COVID.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like the times when everyone has to stay at home.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think people are gonna do? Like, I remember, I think
That's probably why they banned it.
yeah, but then it just makes it worse because people are gonna retaliate. Like, there's just too many people. I would think that like it's just gonna cause like people are gonna find their ways. People will find their ways to get like their contraband cigarettes.
Oh yeah, to get what they need to get.
Which in the end makes it worse.
Right, because they go through dirty channels.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, that's like the one outrageous thing I heard about.
But while you were in Thailand,
Circling
back to Thailand.
Anyways, yeah, back to Muay Thai. But like I said before earlier in the conversation, like I was, like we were both into MMA, but I never tried anything before. I just like kind of worked out, whatever. But actually, and it was my ex who brought it up. Like I said, she was like encouraged me to do the things I loved. And we were driving scooters one day. We were just going through, and we just passed by like this Muay Thai gym, and it's like outdoors, like in the blazing heat. Like for those of you who don't know, like Thailand is like super humid, like 32 degrees. 100% humidity, and there's just like this roof like with pole, like just legs holding it, and there's like a ring, and there's like guys holding pads to like help people train. It was like very intense, and we walk in to check it out, and my ex was like, "Oh, let's do it. Let's check it out. Let's do a class." And so I think we did one the next day, and it was literally like the most intense form of exercise to this day that I've ever done, and. Yeah, I remember we were just going to do it for 2 days, and then we were supposed to go to Vietnam. And I just like fell in love with Muay Thai so much. I just thought it was so cool. I sucked so bad. I was getting my ass kicked like every day. But I really enjoyed it. And she's the one who was like, let's stay here. Like, we love it here. And we stayed there for a whole month. So it was like a small village in north of Thailand, so north of Chiang Mai. So if you look at Thailand, it's kind of like this. Bangkok was in the middle. And just north of that was Chiang Mai, and just a bit more north was a small town called Pai, spelled P-A-I. And so we went there, and it was like this small village and like surrounded by mountains, which was super cool, super peaceful, amazing. The people were so cool, and so yeah, we just trained Muay Thai for a month.
I remember you telling me they would make you hit the bag repeatedly. What was it, like 100 times or something?
So like I'll break down. So it was a 2-hour class, dude. Like most. Here, like if you take classes, usually they're about an hour, but out there they're 2 hours, and so there's 4 or 5 coaches, like kind of supervising and coaching throughout the course, and they all, first of all, they all hold bamboo sticks like yay long, very thin, and if ever you're slowing down, they just go, "It's not nighttime, no sleeping," bam, and they just hit you, and they don't give, and they're like laughing, you're like, ha ha ha, and you'd be like struggling on doing sit-ups, and they'd be like, go. And you'd just be like, God. And then you'd like want to give up, and they wouldn't let you give up until like there was literally a point where it's like they saw that you physically could not. Like there's a difference between like mentally not able to do it and like your body physically can't. And they've trained so many people that they know the difference, and so they really, really, really pushed me. And so I'll start off with like a 2-hour so we start with like a warm up, You do like skip rope and push-ups, and I'm already like dead after that. After 10 minutes, I'm like,
Yeah, it's a lot of cardio.
What the fuck?
and then you learn technique, like how to punch, kick, throw, knees and elbows. And for those of you who don't know, Muay Thai is the art of the 8 limbs. So you're using your fists, your elbows, your knees, and your shins.
Shout out Ong Bak.
Yeah, that guy's a killer.
That Muay Thai I find is like the coolest looking martial art out of all. Maybe karate is really fucking cool too. Like Wonderboy Thompson, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah.
If any of you follow UFC,
Yeah.
He's a guy who uses a lot of flashy karate kicks and stuff.
Dude,
in the ring.
he's just so flexible. Like when he would do like his side kick, dude, you could lift his knee up like up to here, just so like you'd almost use it like a jab. It's just like bam, keep you away, keep you away, keep you away, and then just like come in with like the straight really quick, like because you're kind of like pissing off your opponent, baiting him in, and then they come and try and rush you, and you just like he would have this like super fast like straight down the line and it would just like connect.
Yeah, he was super. Well, I don't know why we're saying was. He's still fighting, but he's very accurate with his strikes. Not the most powerful guy, but very keeps his hands very low.
Yeah,
and just you don't know if he's gonna kick or punch. So
I think because he was so confident as a striker, and like I think his kickboxing record is like. I think he had like one loss out of like.
He started
60.
out in this weird show I remember before UFC that had just like people.
It was just a mat.
A team. Yeah, it was a mat that had like sunk inwards at the middle.
Yeah.
And there would just be a team of guys and girls who would like fight each other.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting show, and they had like long pants. They followed long pants and stuff. It was weird.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I remember him from. But yeah, we're both huge into UFC. That was like a reason why we kind of bonded as friends. We've been to a lot of events and stuff.
But anyways, back to the Muay Thai before. We keep going off topic, guys. I'm sorry, but we'll try and stay on. The Muay Thai, yeah. So anyways, the biggest thing, like the difference between like I would say doing Muay Thai in Western culture versus in Thailand is like here it's kind of like they're a little more gentle and it's almost like more of a kickboxing style of training versus Muay Thai. So kickboxing is kind of like a boxing stance where your feet are kind of, you're almost like as if you're standing on a skateboard or a snowboard, that's how you are, like more lined up like that. Whereas Muay Thai is a lot more square. And exactly, light on the front foot, And all about like when you're moving, it's like you're just kind of slow. You're kind of in this like slow rhythm,
timing. Yeah, exactly. It's like when kids would like go like this when they're trying to time like how to get in the skip ropes. You know, they'd be like,
kind of looks like that.
Yeah,
kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was like conditioning your shins by like just kicking over and over and over. Dude, we would be like training for like an hour and 15 minutes, and then boom. Okay, the coaches would yell switch. So there was like these heavy bags. They're like probably like 8 feet tall, hanging off chains off like this metal thing, and there'd be like 8 of them, six or 8 of them lined up, and you'd have to hit the bag. So you'd be teams of 3. 2 people would hold the bag each side, and then one person would have to kick the bag 50 times with one leg, so like a body kick, 50 times, dude. And like I know it doesn't sound like much, but like think about having to like lift, pivot, force. And like use your hip to like try and kick, and it's just like, especially if you're not like me, who's like not in great shape. Like I was doing it, and I was just dying, and then like it would switch, so one person would do it. Oh no, I think you'd have to do 50 with each leg right away. So 50, and then switch, and then do your other like 50 times. And dude, that was literally like the most. Like, I don't think I ever dug deep so hard to like try and finish something, because you just, the amount of times you'd be like, I can't do this, and that's what the coaches are really there for.
Yeah,
they're really there to like, they don't make you think like, oh, can I just like do it, just fucking do it, dude. And
that's why personal training and fitness is still such a big industry, because like a lot of people deep down, they need that push.
Oh yeah,
they need someone to kick them in the ass. Like I ran 10K last night, sub 5 car. Pace, no big deal. I'm a monster, but
that is really impressive. Thanks. I was like, oh yeah, mine is like, I think my best one was like 5 point. What is it 100 or is it 60? Is it 5.9? Like, can it go to 99 or does it stop at 60 and then goes to 60?
Do you mean like for the time that you're
like no, like your pace per kilometer? You know how it shows like your pace per kilometer there?
Yeah.
It'll be like 5 point whatever.
Oh yeah, it's point. Yeah.
But does it cap at 99 or does it cap at 59? Like a minute?
Oh, it's.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know if it caps.
I think it's 59.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think mine was like 5.48 was my best. And I was like, oh my god, that's good. Under 6 minutes per kilometer. And you're like, oh yeah, just under 5. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go fuck myself.
That's a nice little boy.
Grasshopper.
But yeah, I owe it all to COVID. I would never I just want to get the fuck out of the house sometimes. So I just run. But yeah, I have this app that I'm sure a lot of people do now. But it tells you. Well, there's Strava. Mine for some reason the recording doesn't work for me on Strava, so I just use the Samsung thing.
Okay.
But it's
it
cool.
has an app.
Yeah, and you can design your own program. So I put 10K. I want to run 10K in 50 minutes. So
50
minutes, yeah.
Holy fuck.
Well, the other week I ran 47, and yesterday I ran 49. But the apps really help because they tell you each kilometer what's your pace and how much time is left and all that shit. But the pace is the really important thing. Because I was running and I was like, your pace is 4:37. I'm like, fuck yeah, killing me. And then I start to relax and shit. And then the next kilometer, they're like, your pace is 6 minutes 30 seconds. I'm like, what? What?
All right.
I thought I built up some time to play with, but no, you
Time
can't
to play some Death from Above, 1979.
Exactly.
I need some Modest Mouse right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so you got to respect whatever you're running, whether it's a 10K or a marathon. You can't slack off.
I think the beautiful thing is you're doing it for yourself too. So it's you're kind of just you're holding yourself accountable. You're not doing it for anyone else.
That was the thing. There were 3 separate occasions where I stopped because I was just so exhausted. I was like,
oh, for sure.
Well, it was a good run. I did 6, but then it was told me my pace and the time left and all that shit, and I was like, yeah, I'll just run till I puke or whatever, you know? And then I just kept running, and I did that 3 different times, but I made it through.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, there's this weird part that, you really think that,
I can't go. I really can't go anymore, and I'm gonna hurt myself if I do.
But sometimes if you just somehow push through it, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad, and you get this, they call it the runner's high or whatever.
Yep.
And you're boom, boom, and it's just going.
I've talked about that on the podcast. Runner's high is definitely a thing, and it's euphoric. It's amazing.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's people who say they can lucid dream. It's kind of like a superpower. It's
yeah.
Maybe
it is. It's funny. There's actually this funny episode of Family Guy where they make fun of runners, and it's Brian Griffin the dog goes and he dates this girl who's a runner, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna start running, and he starts running, and he's running up there, he's like, oh. And she's like, just keep going, and he starts running, he's like, oh my, and then his pupils dilate like this, and he's like, oh my god, I'm getting a runner's high. And then it skips a month later, and he's super skinny, and he looks sick, and he's like, yeah, I'm a runner, and he's sickly skinny, his cheeks sunken in. Peter's he's like, what the fuck? And Stewie's just Brian, you look ill.
It's so true. Because people get really into running, and then it becomes a big part of their life, and then they kind of leave off the other aspects of fitness, which are muscular strength building, and a lot of times flexibility too. And you burn a lot of fat when you're running, so you just become real thin.
Yeah, dude, and they want to keep that low body fat percentage, I think, just because if you have, I think it's good to have some, but to be at that level of dude, those marathon runners or triathlon dudes, like the Diaz brothers, those dudes, if you look at them, you're like, I could fuck them up, and then they're like, oh yeah, and then they're just,
could you fuck me up over 25 minutes of me just binging you with constant combinations at 50%?
Yeah, dude.
That's what they do, which is so cool, and you don't really see it as much.
I've never seen that. the only person who's kind of similar is Max Holloway.
Yeah.
But his Max is different in the sense he switches his stance a lot, but he has that same kind of that Hawaiian scrap mentality.
Exactly.
I find
always
it so similar.
Down the throat.
Yeah, dude, always when he fought Ricardo Lamas and he pointed to the ground.
Yeah.
At the last 15 seconds, bam, bam.
It's they're disappointed if they don't have a little bit of swinging and banging in there.
I think it's just in their it's in their it's literally in them. They're it's not for show, it's not for their. Exactly. They're I don't do this for the fans. They're dude, I just want to play. I want to scrap.
Very real. They came in very real from the beginning, and they got ridiculed a lot in the beginning by fans because they mumble a lot and they're not very good at expressing themselves. But then they became fan favorites later on, and now they're legends.
Well, I think it's funny because in the beginning it's people didn't really like that. Well, it wasn't even a person. Well, it wasn't a character.
It was just very unrefined. Very unrefined is what I would say.
And I think people start to appreciate later that they were just being themselves. They just didn't give a fuck, and it wasn't they were pretending they really do. They didn't care, man. The press conference with the Diaz and McGregor fights were the best press conferences I think you'll ever see for sure. I remember what was it? It was think it was Nate Diaz versus Gray Maynard, and like, or BJ Penn. No, BJ Penn was Nate
He beat
Diaz.
the shit out of Maynard.
Yeah, dude. He just like peppered him away, and he just like let Gray's like, okay, you know, you're a big dude, like I'll let you like, and he can eat shots, dude. That guy is still an iron chin,
Tough as fuck.
and just boom, boom, take, and then he's like, oh, you're tired now, and boom, and then he was going in for it, and he's like so long, and it was just like peppering away, bam, bam, and then like when he saw that they were tired, he was just like going for the kill.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was just like that combination of like being like a triathlon runner or whatever, a triathlonist, a stoner, and just like an iron chin.
Yeah. I actually have a friend who did a program called Wimps to Warriors, and they take people who've never trained in any kind of discipline, and then they train for 20 weeks in all the disciplines.
Oh my god.
And then they
Martial arts, or this is just any type of
martial arts.
Okay.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, wrestling, everything.
Okay.
And then after 20 weeks, they have an event, and they all fight.
No.
And they fight each other.
Like fight?
Yes.
Okay.
In a
Do
cage.
they wear shin guards?
Gloves, shin guards, yes.
Headgear?
No headgear.
But mouthpiece, obviously.
Yes.
Mouthpiece and shin guards.
Yes.
So it's like an amateur fight.
Exactly. And it was in Kanawaki.
Okay.
And,
this was here in Montreal? Like,
yes. Yeah. And I was ringside,
Dude.
and it was fucking awesome.
Oh man.
Because like it's your
you
friend.
should do it. You should do it.
That's what she said. She was like, "Are you gonna do it? It's
Yeah.
$2,000."
Oh. Yeah, it makes sense because it's intense.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot of
focused
training.
on like.
Exactly. You're doing it every day at 6 a.m.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You pretty much have to give up everything.
Yeah.
Because you can't
You
like
gotta commit.
you can't work.
You gotta commit 100. Oh no, you can still work because it's not all day.
What's the training?
6 in the morning.
Till when?
I have no idea. I gotta ask her. But
I like 6 till like 10 or something.
But it was crazy because the other girl, you could tell, was like pretty nervous to fight.
For sure.
So she came out swinging like, right away with like a kind of flying kick or whatever.
Oh wow.
And they mixed it up. They fought for 3 rounds, and they really mixed it up because there was punching, solid punches to each other's faces. There was kicking, there was wrestling, and there was jiu-jitsu.
Oh man.
And at one point, the other girl was trying to submit. No, she was trying to submit that girl.
Okay, with the original one, the one who got.
The one I'm rooting
excited?
for, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, she was trying to submit the other girl at one point.
Do you remember what she was trying? Was she on top or on bottom?
I think she was getting submitted.
Okay.
I gotta go back to the video.
Yeah.
But because I remember
you were there?
Yeah, because I remember she was getting the better punches in.
Okay.
Like she was landing some punches on the face, but the other girl had her in a really strong, I think it was a triangle.
Okay.
For a while.
Oh,
yeah, for like more than half a round.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it was like a little bit of everything, which is really cool to see. But she ended up popping her shoulder. She dislocated her shoulder.
Oh,
yeah.
Your friend?
Yeah.
Ah.
And I was back in the back room there, and they had to like pop it back in. Yeah. And it sounded so painful.
And you saw it all happen? You saw like them put it back in? Was she
Yeah.
screaming?
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah, she was all dizzy and shit.
You're probably like, I don't want to do this.
Exactly. I was like, so you want to be a fighter?
Yeah, it's like, I don't think so.
And I saw another guy got flash KO'd, and he was only like 16 years old.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it's not like you watch it, it's cool and all, but like
It's cool. It's one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
You're like a superhero.
yeah. But then you're doing it, and you're like, I was actually talking to a friend of mine who does photography for MMA here in like because I think in where is it in like in the reserves, that's what they do because it's like illegal. Any amateur fights I think are illegal. It has to be a professional fight. So they're having fights out there, and he takes pictures, and he's telling me, he's like, dude, like to be a real fighter, like to love this sport that you want to do, like there's this thing where it's called it's called like you smell blood. And it's not like you're literally smelling blood, but you can sense.
You're a shark and there's blood in the water.
Yeah, exactly.
You go for the finish.
And you really like, and it's not like you go for it because you have to. Like you want to finish this person. Like if there's no ref, like you have to have the mentality like I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And like I think you have to be a certain type of person to have even that thought where when someone's rocked or like showing signs of weakness that you're going in to like put them unconscious, which is like I can't imagine myself being that way.
Well, I remember leading up to I think it was the Diaz fight, GSP was saying like his mind goes to dark places. You know, like his mind is going to a dark place for the fight.
For sure.
So even GSP, who's like seems like the nicest guy outside of the ring, has a dark side to him like that.
Oh yeah.
So I think you're right. There is a part of every fighter's like DNA where they have that killer instinct.
Well, dude, like look at John Jones. Like he puts on this thing where he's like, like I love Jesus, no, like very, like he's very religious and like nothing wrong with religion at all, but like puts on that.
John Jones couldn't be more of like a novel character.
Yes,
you know.
But then when he fights, dude, he like even like when you see him put in like people in crucifix positions, he's like dude, his elbows are nasty, and like they're like struggling, and he's just like, I don't care, and like you're like, dude.
That's one thing when I'm running and I see like my shadow and I see like my elbows. I'm like, holy fuck, I got some fucking sharp elbows.
Yeah, dude, you have like
I got like
his body. Yeah, you really do actually. Holy fuck.
Like that, you know?
Dude, and you have power too. So like, I actually. Well, going back to the Muay Thai I was training, I find that so the shins, when you, like the first time I hit a bag, I'm like, this should be fun. You hit a heavy bag, dude, it's way harder than you think. Like literally the bag
the bag itself is really fucking hard.
Dude, I went for the kick and I obviously threw a horrible technique.
Oh.
But I landed it more on like my ankle than my shin, and so it kind of like, it's like hyperextended, and I was like, oh. And then I would kick here, and like, it was just like welts on here, and it took a couple days for it to be kind of conditioned. Not even really that conditioned, but like, it was just, that was probably the hardest part. And even throwing elbows, like, so you're supposed to like as if you're coming down like this, like as if like a bird is coming down, so you really
over
exactly, like really like that, and like man, that would get like really cut up. Like my elbows got cut up pretty bad just from like hitting the stitching or like grazing the bag.
Yes, the worst. The bag graze on the elbow.
Well, I'm sure when you hit your heavy bag.
Exactly. I had that all the time, and you get really bad like carpet burn on your body.
You don't really feel in the moment, but later you're like, oh. Like you take a shower, you're like, fuck.
Exactly. And my gym has like a heavy bag, and then it has a really long Muay Thai bag.
No way.
Yeah.
Which gym?
Fit Form.
What?
On Sources. Check it out. Fit Form. It's my hopefully a new sponsor. But
imagine.
Yeah.
It's like that kid who's watching. He's like,
get your gold membership now. But I started out hitting the bag, the Muay Thai one, because I was like, that's cool. I can do kicks and shit.
Because you don't have it at home, right? You just have like the half
exactly.
one.
Yeah. But the thing about that bag was it's super light, so I would throw it full force, but then I would hit a bag that's super soft. And that would make me overextend.
Oh.
So after a while, my ankles started hurting, my legs started hurting. Yeah.
Wait, was the bag just too like it wasn't? It was bend?
Super long, like all the way to the ground.
How thick was it?
But it was like this thick.
Oh, okay.
But it was like pillow inside. It wasn't like it wasn't hard.
So it couldn't like put like when you were using all your force, it wouldn't like bounce back your legs.
Exactly. There was not much.
So would you like go through almost all?
There's too much give. Exactly.
Okay.
So it would like kind of.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's dangerous in a sense.
It sucked. It's good for throwing kicks, but like you don't get that satisfying feeling hitting something. No. So that's the whole point, you know?
Dude, you should do Muay Thai or kickboxing. You'd really like it, man.
Yeah,
I think you would
go too.
As someone who's like really into fitness and like really like MMA, like I've told you this since we basically known each other that like you should just check it out. Just even there's so many free classes.
Yeah,
you could
and I really want to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I did it for 2 months at Gracie Baja in Pierrefonds.
Oh,
shout out Gracie Baja. Sorry to come back. It's just really expensive.
It is.
It was like
anywhere.
$150 a month. But it's like, apparently it's the most renowned jiu-jitsu school in the world. Gracie Baja?
Oh yeah, the Gracies.
So it was, but what's funny is that when I checked it out, so I was going to night school at John Abbott, and I met this girl who, like the teacher was asking like, oh, has anyone ever traveled before? It was like kind of like to break the ice, first class, whatever. And she's like, oh, I went to Portugal. And he's like, oh, what for? She's like, oh, for competing. It was like cool. And then like we're on break, and then I was like, hey, how's it going? She's like, oh, good. And then I'm like, oh, so what'd you compete in? And she's like, I was like, soccer? And she's like, no, jiu-jitsu. And I was like, oh, that's sick. You did? She's like, yeah, I'm a purple belt. I was like, what? That's so sick. She's like, yeah, I trained at Gracie Baja. I'm like, oh, I want to try jiu-jitsu. I did Muay Thai in Thailand for a bit. She's like, oh yeah, I fought in Thailand. Like I was like, what? She's a badass.
Just getting more and more attractive.
Yeah. And so I went to do, I took a class, a free class at Gracie Baja, and it was so funny, like wearing the gi, it's so stiff, and like I couldn't put on the belt right, and I was like, oh god, I felt so embarrassed. And I rolled with her, and dude, like I legitimately had no chance of like getting any type, like didn't have a moment of an advantageous position.
Like, oh okay.
Dude, she just could easily do whatever she wants me. Like I tried, and she just had every answer.
3 steps ahead of you.
Dude, 10 steps ahead of me, man. Like, I remember I'm like in her full guard, and I'm trying to like pass, and as she passes, she saw my arm and like pushed it down, put her like instantly a triangle. And I would try and get out, she would just shift her, like, it's just,
that's so hot.
Dude.
Yeah, that's so hot. But that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
Skilled. Yeah, I've heard that like you just get humbled right away when you go to those gyms.
And it's a beautiful experience in a sense that like jiu-jitsu is really cool. Actually, out of doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, I would say Jiu-Jitsu I preferred more. I think it suits my personality more. Like, I've never been an aggressive person. or like violence or anything.
Yeah.
Pretty much the only time I get mad is like playing video games.
Jiu-jitsu is like body chest. That's what it's like.
Dude, it's exactly that. Like, it's straight up exactly that. And like, it's fun when you're rolling with other white belts because you're like both same level and you're just trying to like, who's like,
trying different things out.
who's could think like
faster and like roll with it.
How can I bait you into something that I don't really know the technique, but like might work because we both don't know really what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like after about like 2 weeks, like I started getting more comfortable with like because you're using like the gi against them, right? So like if their gi's like this, you're like pulling on their gi and like using like their own weight to like shift them over by like holding. I don't know. It's just like this weird shit, but it was really cool.
That is awesome. And I agree with you. The gi is weird at first, and that's why I was looking at a place that was like 5 minutes from my place, and another place that was like downtown.
Okay.
Because the one downtown was 10th Planet, and they just do no gi. Yeah, and I was like, that looks cooler.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If I were to do jiu-jitsu again, I would do no gi. Yeah. I would do no gi just because it's more practical if like something would ever happen in real life. Because like, I mean, in real life, yeah, like you could use like someone's...
like you're not allowed attacking. You're not wearing a gi.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't grab you.
It's like, why aren't you wearing a leather jacket? It's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, I don't want to ruin it. It's like, yeah, but I want to choke. I want to collar choke you.
Yeah. Before we get into this, just put this house coat on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hold on. But yeah, no, gi is cool. It's cool. It's a lot more traditional. Yeah. But if I were to do it again, it would be no gi. And usually, actually, the ones that I find with no gi are cheaper. Like I heard 10th Planet is $90 a month instead of $150 at Gracie. So just like, just for me, it would be a lot better. And, it's probably like outside of skateboarding, it's like my favorite form of exercise was jiu-jitsu. It doesn't even feel like you're. I mean, it does. It's really exhausting.
No, but I agree because your mind is working so hard that it doesn't even feel like you're working physically as much.
Dude.
Tennis is a lot like that too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, because there's so much technique in tennis. I remember we played once and I was like, I fucking hate this shit.
I know. That's the thing with new players. They always like, they'll hit a few good shots and they're like, wow, it feels really good. Mm-hmm. But then they'll hit a few into the net and they'll be like, well, fuck this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you feel like you're not getting anywhere a lot of times in tennis. You can play out of your mind one day and feel like, oh, I have this whole game figured out. Mm-hmm. And then you come back the next day and you're awful.
Yeah.
And that's the
kind of like
maddening thing about it.
It's kind of like a lot of things, like in life regarding like exercise or not. It's like you get like your beginner's luck, and then you're like, oh, I'm good.
Yep.
And like I always have this, not always, but sometimes more than sometimes I get into the mentality of like, if I'm not good at something right away, like why bother even trying? Mm-hmm. And so if I am good at something out of luck, and then I come back and I suck, and then it's like I have such a hard time accepting that I suck.
Yeah.
But then if you look at it from like an outside point of view, or like you're looking from the outside into someone else, you're like, oh, well, why don't you just practice? Practice makes
exactly.
perfect.
If you were your friend, what would you say to you?
Yes.
Kind of thing. And I agree with you. Like a lot of times, if I don't see immediate results, I get discouraged very easily, and that's why working out just
instant gratification.
Exactly. It was just so conducive to like being motivated because you start to see results pretty fast. Mm-hmm. So anything with training, like I got into it really fast. And anything that I'm like decent at is because I started at a young age when I was like still open to failing.
Exactly. Like people are like, oh, but like you keep skateboarding. I'm like, yeah, but I started when I was like 14, so it's like then you're kind of just like an open book, dude. You're a sponge. Yeah. But I find like starting things later in life. Of course, you can get good at it. You can try but obviously, like I think that you're a lot more introspective, a lot harder on yourself. You're kind of just like, I'm at this age now, I may as well not start now. But
yeah, and I think when you, like, I know it's like a cheesy saying, but when you stop learning, you start dying. So, like, the more you close yourself off to new things and experiences, then the faster you are going to your grave.
Yeah, exactly. So,
kids,
just fucking kill me now, dude.
Yeah, just like, what's the point?
But actually, like, I remember when I was going to the classes, dude, there was like this old guy, man. He was a white belt. Old dude. He was like, for sure, pushing 60, and he was in the class, man. He was like getting tired before all of us, but he was like, he had a smile on his face and he was super down, and the coaches were super nice with him. I'm like, dude, if this guy is open to trying it, like, I'm not gonna be a little bitch and like, can't do it. But actually, the reason why I stopped was like at the time, like I had a gym in the building that I was working, so on my lunch break I would do like weight training, and then at night I would do jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. And one day I sprained my meniscus. And for those who don't know, the meniscus is it's like a cushion in between your thigh bone and your shin bone. So the two bones, they rub against each other, right? And then like the meniscus is the cushion that stops the bones from rubbing against each other. And it just kind of slipped out of place a bit, so the bones was rubbing against each other. So it was just pretty painful. And I think it was either from either it's the combination of the two, or it was like I did something in jiu-jitsu, like I was like trying to pass half guard and like my leg got stuck and it just twisted funny. But I didn't feel it right away. It was like I was driving home and I was like, dude, my right knee fucking hurts right now. And then it kind of stopped, went to bed, and the next day, dude, I was walking like RoboCop, dude. I was just like, what is going on?
Rubbing bones together never sounds like a good thing.
No, it doesn't. Right? Doesn't it sound worse?
Just
than
like the giant guy at the beanstalk when we were grinding your bones to make my bread, you know? Do you remember that Jack and the Beanstalk? Fee-fi-fo phone?
I remember like the fucking kid story. The story.
That's what I'm talking
about.
The story of Jesus.
I remember my mom reading to me as a kid, but I don't remember like all the details. I just remember like some of the animation where like you see them like put in the beans and when he was like the big giant dude.
They all doubted him. They all thought Jack was an idiot, but he fucking grew.
Was Jack the
a
kid?
plant that went to space. So.
Was Jack the kid? It was a brother.
Anyways, he's like the fairy tale version of Tesla.
Okay.
Or fuck, who started Tesla?
What's his name?
Elon Musk. Oh yeah.
That picture is so exactly.
Handed back. Took my token puff.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about Joe Rogan podcast and Elon Musk. If you're not privy. One other thing I want to talk about. Who do people say you look like?
There's two people that people tell me I look like, and I'm like, fuck you. But
this is what I want to get into. Whenever someone says you look like someone, it's usually not flattering, right?
No, I'm like not.
Like I get Jim Carrey, I get the Mad Magazine guy.
Mad Magazine?
You know the kid who's on the front of Mad Magazine? He's got like freckles and like a.
I don't remember.
You know, it's an old magazine.
Straight out.
Yeah, he's called
Jim
Alfred.
Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Was it Tom Cruise? And I don't know if you remember the show Third Rock from the Sun, but French Stewart, and he was all, staring like this, just because I have small eyes.
Yeah.
But it was.
It's such a simple little thing, and it's like, oh, because of that, you look like this.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Just like, haha.
So I always make sure never to like say who someone looks. No, fuck that. Actually, I do tell people.
I do all the time.
Yeah. It's so tempting. It's so hard not to.
Yeah. Yeah, and every time after I say it, I wish I took the words and put them back in my mouth.
Exactly.
They get the reaction. No, their reaction is the same as my reaction would be if someone tells me I look like Tobey fucking Maguire. Like, dude, I just think of Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3 and that super cringy scene where his hair's and he's like,
that's the only part where you look like him. When he's trying to be all cool.
Yeah, and I'm just like, God damn.
I can see the Shapiro for sure.
Yes, that, okay, so I do agree. I think I look, it's kind of scary how much I look like Ben Shapiro.
Pretty uncanny.
Like, yeah, it is uncanny. I'd say, like, when people say I either look like Tobey Maguire or Elijah Wood, I'm like, I could maybe see what you mean, but I don't see it. Yeah. And then when I'm like Ben Shapiro, I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking look like Ben Shapiro. Yeah. Just like not as Jewish.
Evil looking.
I'm Jewish, so I can say these
Whenever
things.
it's like a thumbnail of him on Joe Rogan podcast, he's always like looking down like,
yeah.
And he looks so evil.
Yeah, dude, he looks so serious and evil. But then you hear him talking like, oh, okay, you're kind of just like I don't know if you remember.
Really smart guy.
Yeah, he's super smart. It's kind of like, it's scary. Honestly, sometimes if I hear him talking, I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like
so far.
I wonder if you're doing it on purpose. Like, are you doing it on purpose?
Oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of it is that. Just like try to lose someone in your jargon. You know?
Yeah. But like he does sound. I mean, I don't really like a lot of what he says. Like, I don't really agree with. But like, he is fucking smart, and obviously like whatever.
I also look sometimes whenever I'm watching a skit by like Tim Heidecker. I don't
know.
Okay, well, Tim and Eric is like a comedy duo.
Okay.
And
I think you told me about that.
And they made a movie called The $1 Billion Movie or whatever. But their show, Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Great Job, was kind of like SNL, but like on acid.
Oh.
Like a really weird version.
Is that on Netflix?
No, I don't think so.
I think Jamie showed me something. Oh no, that's not the.
It's just like an off the wall sketch show where they make fun of like old 80s commercials and how they were kind of like portrayed, and also like they'll take really bad actors and they'll throw them in the scenes just because their acting is so bad because it adds to like the comedic effect of it. Yeah,
so it's just like as much
and they don't
and
a lot, it seems like a lot of times they don't know they're in on it, the actors, so which makes them funny. You know, they're like older, out of touch actors. So that makes it really funny.
Getting like Harrison Ford in there or something.
Well, yeah, they'll have bad impressions of actors, like Billy Crystal's.
Oh,
You know,
God.
it's like a guy who like vaguely has the same hair, but that's it. You know, like a really bad impressionist.
It's funny because that's something I noticed with you is like those little things that a lot of people don't appreciate in comedy.
The subtleties.
You fucking love
That's
that
I
shit.
dig that shit up.
Yeah, and I remember I'd find something and you'd be like, that's fucking hilarious. And it's like, I think you're the only person who I know could find that shit funny.
And that's what's so annoying for me.
I
A lot of
know.
the times, I need to find these people.
I know. That's probably why, like, on Reddit, that's probably where most of you find, like, all the people that you
with the same kind of sensibility. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to find that.
Angry white guys in their basements. We're a clan.
Well, I think it's like that it's actually almost an advanced, like, mean humor kind of thing.
it's like a...
Like, remember the cricket thing you showed me? Where, like, they're doing a random sport. I don't even remember what it is.
Yeah, it's like a made-up British sport where they're, like, running after a ring, and then they have to, like, move these, like, pieces on a board that, like, you have no idea what the pieces represent. So the whole time they're doing these things, and there's commentators like, oh, here comes the bull on the fourth quarter, or like he'll just like make up
like they
terms.
would kind of speak like as if like it's like the commentator sounded like he was commentating golf.
Yeah,
but they were playing like some posh
yeah.
sport, but like really they're just making it seem like
they're making up as they go along.
They're making up as they go along. They're making fun of like posh sports and like things like that.
Polo and stuff.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and then like when they would run, they would be like.
Yeah, they'll have like a gallop to the way they run.
And they were
very
the same
specific
character
about the way they were doing it. Dude. Yeah, and they would like jump in front of the hoop, and then they would like make markings and stuff. And it was like, and the commentators would go along with it. Be like, "Ooh, that doesn't look too good." You know, like,
that's why I always thought it'd be funny if like we did something like that. But like I think in the beginning it'd be so hard to stay in character because I feel like we can do it for like a few minutes and then I just start laughing. They just fucking do it for like an hour.
It's an art. It really is an art. And if you watch, I think I brought it up earlier, but Tim and Erica, they have a series called The Doctors, where one of them is a doctor, the other is a patient, and they just have really weird practices, like you know those like benches that they make you sit on.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have drawers.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I just need you to like make a sample, and then I'll come back and examine it. So he like pulls out the drawer in between his legs, and then he comes back in. And he's like, "So, how'd we do?" And he's like, "Well," and he just looks at it, and there's just like a pile of poop.
Oh god.
And then he makes him like bottle it up, and he's like, "Just leave it with us with the samples, you know." And so he like, oh no, wait, so she comes in with a tray. I'm telling you, it's really bad. But she comes in with a tray of all these different jars of poop, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Heidegger, I misplaced which one is yours." And then she's like, "Can you help me?" And then he's like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe it's this one." And then he just drops them, and then they all smash to the ground. So it's just like poop everywhere.
Oh god.
And he's like, "Oh no!" And then the editing is like super serious, like music,
like some like that
like or suspense music or something. Oh, the way they edit it is just like
that's
brilliant.
That's
cringy.
It's like art cringy.
Yeah, cringe became the new medium for comedy.
It is, and I think it'll stay. You know what's funny? Like my mom fucking hates that shit. I think like the older generation, they think it's dumb. Like they straight think it's so
they don't think there's any like they either don't appreciate the.
I don't think they think it's well
sub-
calculated.
Yeah,
which it is. It's like very well.
Oh
calculated.
yeah, everything.
Yeah,
and if you go back and watch that show, like there's sometimes you even miss like little things that they.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. It's almost like Easter eggs within like the cringe videos.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's some of it I can watch. Some of it's pretty funny, and like I watched. I don't know if you follow. I forget his name. He's from Florida.
Bert Kreischer?
He's from Florida? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But no, not Bert Kreischer. It's like he's like a YouTube guy. Fuck, it's gonna piss me off what his name is. But he does like super random shit. Like he would like. Oh, I can't think of this. I'm drawing a blank.
H3?
He's blonde. He used to have dreads, and then he shaved his head. And he has like his friend who's like more of a crazy guy. They like jump in swamps with his like alligators.
Okay, I probably would never watch anything with a guy with dreads. Just saying.
Dude, yeah. No, I know your sense. I know you. Maybe not now. He's gotten famous, so he like does more like stuff that's, what's the term I'm using, but like more appealing to like the general audience. But like before you do some like really cringy, like the audience, like you would just go to like random strangers and like say like, hey, I do.
Oh,
he's like, do you want? Kind of, but it's not. It's I trust me. It's
because there's a YouTuber called H3, and he got famous for making fun of other YouTubers.
Okay.
So there's that guy who would go up to girls and be like, "How about a quick game for a kiss?" And he would like do rock paper scissors or something, and then be like, "Oh, I lose. Let's kiss." Anyways, you know, and then he would just try to like kiss random girls on the street. Yeah. And
did it work?
They were pretty obviously like set up. Like,
okay.
Just,
that's not real.
Posted ads on Craigslist.
Okay.
But he would just like make fun of it and be like, he would slow it down. So it's like, quick game for a kiss. Quick game for a kiss.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
So just like so good at like, and then he would like put on hazmat suits to like protect himself from the high level cringe, you know. So he had a whole like shtick behind it.
Oh.
And and now he has his own podcast.
Okay. What's his name?
Ethan Klein. And his girlfriend Hila is also part on the podcast, so it's their thing together. And their biggest thing was they made fun of Papa John. You know Papa John Pizza? Anyways, it's like a pizza chain in the US. Yeah. And
so they make fun of that pizza?
Well, the guy behind it is like a really crazy persona.
Okay.
Yeah. So he did this commercial where he invites the people into his house, and then they're like ordering pizza online to like show off the online like how to order.
Okay.
But he's like, it's with his son, and he's like, should we get soda, Dad? He's like, yeah, sure, I can go for some soda pop. And he's like, can't you just see he's just like a good old boy, you know? Soda pop.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So, and when I was growing up, that was like my main thing comedically was my sisters were so good at making fun of people. Okay. Which makes them sound horrible, but there's an art to making fun of people.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's an art to be judgmental.
Exactly. And they would never do it to their face. It was just kind of within the family. But that's where I kind of like learned how funny it was to like laugh at, you know, funny behavior.
Dude, come on, we all fucking judge people. Like, we all, it's human nature. I mean, like, I think, like, I know.
You just gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, I think it's as long as you're not purposely harming someone else or yourself.
Oh yeah, there's no like
then
cyberbullying behind it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to tell you to their face. So that's like, I think that if people say like, "Oh, I don't judge other people," like, dude, you're not. People fucking judge. Like the person you'll judge the most is yourself. Yeah. And actually, this is not judging, but it made me think of like with lying. I remember like my boss, with my last job. I remember like I lied to him about something and I told him, I was like, I kind of lied to you about this. He's like, oh, okay. And I was like, he's like, dude, he's like, I lie to myself all the time. Who am I to judge if you're lying? Whoa. And I was like, oh.
This boss is very real.
Yeah, dude. And he's like, who do you think lies to you the most? Yourself. He's like, I don't care what people say.
So true.
And I was like, holy shit. He's like, of course it sucks. Like, I'm not happy about it. But he's like, whatever, dude.
The Nile's not just a river in Egypt, man. It's like a huge thing that all of us use. It's crutched a lot of the time, sometimes, just to get through the day-to-day. But, yeah, at least thanks to this podcast, we're able to open up these floodgates. And
yeah, exactly.
People are really going to start examining themselves.
Once this is over, I'm going to have an existential crisis. No, but
the next episode, in memoriam. Shane. Oh God.
It's on the news. It's like this podcast has been banned.
You're never allowed to make any podcast.
I thought it's like off this shit, so I ended my life.
Oh man, that was good. Oh, I was really on the fence about like my title, but I was just like.
I think
too
it's
lazy
great,
to come up with another one.
I think GOTS is what makes it cool, like the abbreviation.
The abbreviation,
GOTS,
yeah. But then people just think Game of Thrones, but it's okay. There's no perfect podcast title.
Doesn't matter. Like, you know what? There's a lot of people who are like, I mean, like, dude, I'm like, every time, like, my friend Jamie and I are like, anyways, our friend Jamie, he would be like, we'd always be like, oh, we gotta start a podcast, we're so funny, but we gotta start filming shit, and like, I'm sure there's so many people who do that and never do it.
It's the new, we gotta start a band.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the fact that you actually, like, I remember, dude, I was on Facebook and I was just scrolling through and I just see you with a podcast, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is this guy been up to?
No, I'm like, dude, I was super, I remember our comments were, I was like, dude, super happy. I was honestly so happy that you do that, because a lot of people will just be like,
Let's talk about it.
let's just talk about it, exactly, and not do anything. So the fact that like you buy like the microphone, you bought the camera, and like you're doing the editing, which I'm sure the editing is a nightmare sometimes.
It gets easier every episode, but
Yeah.
you're right. There's a lot of learning as you go.
Yeah,
with,
it's a huge
podcasts.
learning curve.
Yeah, and there's investments too. Like I had to buy a camera, I had to buy the editing system, all that stuff.
That's not cheap.
Yeah, but
I loved your intro, like how I'm like, holy fuck, this guy actually. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
super
yeah,
impressed.
trying to make it a little bit legit. You know?
Yeah, it looks legit. It actually
Thanks,
looks
man.
legit. So I hope it works out.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I'm on, so you're gonna have at least another 1,000 subscribers.
This is gonna boost my profile. big time. So if I can keep getting big names like Shane on a podcast, that'd be great.
Exactly.
But thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week. Every week now. I know I've said that 3 times, but you know what? We can always commit ourselves more. We always have chances to commit. Anyway, see you next week.
Just stay on this
Stay on this shit. Get on this shit.